Tonight, Idaho's new school superintendent answers your questions.
During her first in-depth interview, Sherri Ybarra talks about education topics that are important to our On Your Side viewers. Idaho Education News reporter Kevin Richert joins me for Making the Grade. One of the questions that came up when we asked our viewers for their questions, they said, ask her how she's going to retain good teachers. How do we keep our teachers here in Idaho when other states are paying more?
Mm-hmm. You know, and that's an interesting question because if you look at the top 10 places in the United States to work, of course, money is important, but it's never the salary that is the number one reason that folks stay in their chosen career. It's relationships and respect, and then salary is actually number two. And so I think it's really important that the culture in education be that we respect our educators and that we understand that teachers are not the enemy, that they work really hard at what they do, and that we are very service oriented. But at the same time, I do understand that, you know, it is really important that we work on career ladders, and that is the way forward to attracting high quality educators in the state of Idaho as well.
We're up to 93 districts now that have supplemental levies on the books. That number just continues to increase. What does that say to you about the funding structure? Is that a sign that there's a problem, that there are a lot of districts that are going back to voters because they need help, and not every district can get that support at the polls?
But again, it is my responsibility as the superintendent of public instruction to shake every tree and turn over every rock to increase funding and to look at opportunities for funding for schools. So, but when we talk about tax levels, that's strictly left up to the job of the legislators.
I had a question, somebody wanting to know, why did you make the choices you did with your executive committee? And you added positions or titles that have not necessarily been in the Department of Education. Why did you see those needs?
You know, I think I said earlier, that's a great question. I think I said earlier that it's not enough for us to say we support teachers and we want to put kids first and we believe in achievement. We can all say that, but it's in our actions that really show that we support education. And every person that I placed on the executive staff has some sort of expertise. That's what great leaders do, is they surround themselves with people who know exactly what they're doing.
When you've been on this listening tour of yours, what have you heard from an educator point of view that hasn't been done at the Department of Education that you're going to change and make sure happens? You
know, on my listening tour, I think that when we talk about common sense, we have gotten so involved in the testing and the accountability piece that we have forgotten the most important thing that's at the heart of this, and that's our kids. And what is it that we do every day? The only reason that the State Department of Education exists is to help schools and students flourish. And so we are a resource. We were created to help them. And so less of a regulatory and compliance department, although that's absolutely part of the job that we do, it's not the front of what we do. The front of what we do is being a resource, supplying resources, supplying the vision to help schools and students achieve. So we will be the go-to place, and we will get back to that in education.
Superintendent Ybarra told me she is committed to transparency, and she will continue to talk to On Your Side about the improvements and struggles with education in Idaho.
I'm curious to see when we'll see more form to where she's headed.
Certainly, she says after Monday, when the governor presents his budget, she is going to speak more forthright about what she expects from the money side of things. She doesn't want to step in the limelight of the governor, which you can understand both politically and from an education perspective. So expect more from her next week when it comes to finances and education. As for the rest of it, it might take a while. It's going to have to be a long process of action.
Well, I think a lot of parents have really been interested to hear her thoughts on a lot of issues, and they got to hear that tonight.
They did.